Imagine you're at a concert, and they're selling exclusive, limited edition t-shirts. The crowd rushes to the merch stand, and within minutes, they're gone. But just outside, a reseller is selling the same shirts for double the price. What just happened here? This is supply and demand in action, and it's not just limited to t-shirts. It's the silent force behind almost every price you encounter, from the gas you put in your car to the phone you hold in your hand. Supply and demand are the heartbeat of economics. They explain why some items are affordable while others feel out of reach. They determine how much companies produce, what consumers buy, and even how governments intervene in markets. But here's the thing. It's not as simple as more demand equals higher prices. There's a delicate balance at play, constantly shifting in response to countless factors. In this video, we're diving deep into the world of supply and demand. We'll explore what they are, how they interact, and how they shape your daily life. By the end, you'll not only understand these concepts, but also see them everywhere, from your morning coffee to global trade. Let's get started. Supply and demand are two sides of the same coin. Supply refers to how much of a good or service is available, while demand is how much people want it. These forces don't exist in isolation. They're constantly interacting, shaping prices, and influencing decisions. Take something as simple as apples at a grocery store. If the harvest is plentiful, stores are stocked and prices are low. But if a frost wipes out half the crop, supply shrinks and prices soar. Now, let's think about demand. Imagine a new smartphone is released. Everyone wants it, and the demand is sky high. Retailers run out of stock, and some people are even willing to pay double to get their hands on one. This is demand in action, pushing prices upward as people compete for limited resources. But it's not always that straightforward. Let's dig into the law of demand and why it plays such a crucial role in this dynamic. The law of demand states that as prices rise, demand usually falls. When something becomes more expensive, fewer people are willing to buy it. It's why you might hesitate to buy that $7 coffee but happily grab one for $3. On the flip side, when prices drop, demand increases. For example, during holiday sales, stores slash prices, and suddenly, everyone is buying things they might not even need. But demand isn't always logical. Sometimes, exclusivity or perceived value can drive demand higher. Luxury brands thrive on this principle. Think about a limited edition designer bag. Its high price doesn't deter buyers. It attracts them because owning it feels special. This shows how demand isn't just about numbers. It's about psychology, status, and emotions. Of course, demand can't shape the market alone. To truly understand how prices are set, we need to explore how supply responds to these changes. Supply works in tandem with demand, and the law of supply tells us that as prices rise, producers are motivated to create more. Higher prices mean higher profits, which incentivize businesses to expand production. For instance, if the price of wheat doubles, farmers might plant more wheat to capitalize on the opportunity. But supply isn't infinite. Resources like labor, raw materials, and time are limited. When supply can't meet rising demand, we see shortages and prices spike. Take the global semiconductor shortage as an example. As demand for electronics surged during the pandemic, manufacturers couldn't keep up. Cars, smartphones, and even gaming consoles became harder to find, and prices increased across the board. This imbalance between supply and demand highlights another critical concept: market equilibrium. Market equilibrium is the point where supply and demand meet. It's the price at which consumers are willing to buy and producers are willing to sell. But here's the catch. It's not a fixed point. It's constantly shifting as external factors come into play. External factors like government policies, natural disasters, and global events can all disrupt supply and demand. Imagine a hurricane hitting an oil-producing region. Supply decreases, causing gas prices to spike. Or consider government subsidies for renewable energy, which can lower the cost of solar panels, boosting demand. These forces demonstrate that supply and demand aren't isolated. They're influenced by a web of interconnected factors. And this isn't just about economics. It's about the choices we make every day. From buying a concert ticket to deciding when to fill up your gas tank, supply and demand quietly guide our behavior. But understanding these concepts isn't just about personal decisions. It's about seeing the bigger picture of how economies function. Let's connect these ideas to their broader implications. Supply and demand are foundational to market economies, but they also reveal deeper truths about our world. When supply and demand are in balance, markets thrive. Prices are stable, businesses grow, and consumers are satisfied. But when imbalances occur, the effects ripple outward. Shortages can lead to inflation, while surpluses can cause waste and inefficiency. For example, think about the housing market. When demand for homes outpaces supply, prices skyrocket, making it harder for people to afford a place to live. On the flip side, if too many homes are built and demand drops, the market can crash, leading to economic instability. This delicate dance between supply and demand isn't just a theory. It's a reality that affects jobs, wages, and even global trade. And to fully grasp its importance, you need to see how it connects to other key economic concepts. Supply and demand don't operate in a vacuum. They're deeply tied to ideas like inflation and GDP. Inflation, as we discussed in the last video, occurs when prices rise due to increased demand or reduced supply. And GDP, the topic of our next video, measures the total value of goods and services produced in a country. Without supply and demand, GDP wouldn't exist. These concepts are interconnected, creating the framework of how economies grow and adapt. To truly understand how supply and demand shape our world, you need to think beyond individual transactions. They're the forces behind innovation, competition, and even economic policy. Supply and demand aren't just concepts in a textbook. They're the invisible forces shaping our lives. They determine what's available, what it costs, and how resources are allocated. By understanding them, you gain a powerful tool for making smarter decisions, whether you're managing your budget, starting a business, or simply buying groceries. But this is just the beginning. To fully understand the economy, you need to see how these concepts connect to the bigger picture. Curious about GDP, the ultimate measure of economic health, and its link to supply and demand. Be sure to watch our next video. What is GDP and why does it matter? And if you missed our previous video on inflation, don't worry. It's right here, ready to show you how rising prices impact your daily life. See you in the next video as we continue this journey into the fascinating world of economics.